Greetings, YouTube. It is Big Gocke. I am coming to you today on December the 6th, 2020. A year ago today, it was Friday, December the 6th, 2019. There was a shooting at Naval Air Station Pensacola that left 3 people dead, 8 others wounded, and the gunman died. Right now, I'm going to tell you my story on what it was like that day. So, I'll give you some background story. On on September 7th, from September 7th, 2019 to December 20th, 2019, I was in Pensacola, Florida for training. I was there to take 2 C schools for training for my rate. For those of you who don't understand what that means, if you're in another branch of the military, a C school is a tech school. C school is advanced A school. It's advanced tech school. A school is tech school. And for those of you who don't understand what that means, so when you join the Navy or any branch of the military, boot camp gives you basic military training. It teaches you how to be military in that specific branch. A school gives you basic career field training, basic job training. You learn how to do the job that you signed up to do in the Navy or tech school if you're in the Air Force or in any other branch. Some A schools and tech schools last a couple weeks, others last a few months to a year or more. C school is advanced A school. C school is follow-on training. It is training that you might receive when you are still as a first ascension sailor student status, just because they maybe see you're doing well and want you to do some more, or you might come back in a few months or a few years to go to a C school. It gives you a skill set along with a NEC, a Naval Enlisted Code, to provide you. NECs, they help you. They say what you specialize in your rate, and they also help you get reenlistment bonuses. I was what was known as a fleet returnee, so I had a bit more perks than first ascension sailors that were at Corey Station and NAS Pensacola. As a fleet returnee, that means, hey, you've either been to that base before as a student, or you're somebody that was a different rate and you're re-rating, and you're usually somebody that is returned. You've done some time in actual Navy or actual Marine Corps or actual Air Force or actual Army, etc. You're somebody that has a little bit more respect. So on the morning of Friday, December 6th, 2019, I woke up at 0500. I showered, shaved, brushed my teeth, ironed my NSUs because it was Fancy Friday at Corey Station. For those of you who do not know what NSUs are, they're the uniforms that chiefs, senior chief, and master chiefs, and that warrant officers and that officers wear, where it's all khaki, where it's a khaki polo shirt, basically, and a khaki pants. For us, it's basically like that. It's a button-down shirt, khaki shirt with black pants. It's kind of more dressy in a way, and we call it Fancy Friday when we wear those. Or we wear dress uniforms and it's Fancy Friday. It depends on what specific schoolhouse you're in or what specific command you're at. So, I woke up at 0500. At 0643, or sometime around then, I left NAS Pensacola in my car, and I drove to Center for Information Dominance Unit, Quarry Station, because that's where I was doing training at. That's where I was doing my school at. At around 6:55, I walked into my class. My class was to begin at 0700. At 0700, there was an active, we were told that there was an active shooter at NAS Pensacola, and we had to shelter in place. So from about 0700 to 1100 that morning, we were sheltered in our classroom. After time went by, if we needed to use the head, that's the restroom or the bathroom for those who are civilian and don't understand military and Navy lingo. One of our 4 instructors would walk with us to make sure that we didn't leave the building, and I assume they also would try to protect us if they needed to. During that time period, I thought it was just a drill, because I remember somebody early on that week mentioning that we might have an active shooter drill sometime soon. I was like, okay. So during that whole time period, I thought that that was a drill. Throughout the morning, one of our instructors kept coming back into our room from the instructor office in the building, informing us what had been going on. I thought that this was possibly part of a drill, so I wasn't really freaking out as some people were. I thought it was a drill. I legit thought it was fake, that nothing was really happening, that they were just coming in, giving us updates, just trying to make it seem like there was a real shooting. At around 10:45 that morning, we were allowed to go into our instructor's office to make phone calls to whoever we needed to contact to inform them that we were safe. It was around that point that I was like, oh, this must have been real. So I called my mom 2 times. The first time she didn't pick up, and the second time she didn't pick up. So I left a voice message for her. And I was like, I tried to be kind of funny in it. I was like, hey, Mom, I'm alive. I was told to call you. Not sure what's up. I guess there was maybe a shooting or something. I have no clue. I was told that there might have been one, but I'm alive. I'll text you whenever I can. Bye. Or something like that. A little after 1100, we were released for our lunch break. When I got to my car, I pulled out my phone and checked it, and I saw that I had a ton of mixed. I had a ton of missed text messages, phone calls, Snapchats, Facebook messages, etc. And I texted, snapped, messaged, and called everyone back who was checking up on me. And I also looked at the news and saw, oh, there was actually a shooting. And that actually, there were people that died and got injured. So I was busy on my lunch break. I ate lunch, but I was mainly texting, Snapchatting, messaging on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, and calling people and video chatting people, letting them know, hey, I'm safe. Do not worry about me. And I'm very thankful that a whole lot of people were checking up on me, that they were making sure that, hey, that I was not a victim of the shooting, that I didn't die. Gave me reassurance that, hey, there were people that actually cared about me, besides my family. So I did that. It was my lunch break, and then I returned to class. When we returned to class, we did a little bit of training, but then we cleaned up our classroom and went to the advancement ceremony, because earlier on in that morning, had there not been a shooting, we were supposed to have those who got promoted to Petty Officer 3rd class, Petty Officer 2nd class, and Petty Officer 1st class ranks. We were going to have an advancement ceremony for them. So they were going to be frocked. They were going to have their rank put on. They were going to have their collar devices put on, and they were officially going to be petty officer second class, petty officer first class, petty officer third class, etc. We were then released for that day around 1400. That's 2 p.m. for anyone who doesn't understand military time. But all of us fleet returnees who were staying in barracks or at the Navy Gateway Inn and Suites or at the Navy Lodge aboard Naval Air Station Pensacola, we were told to stay at Corey Station because we weren't actually allowed to return yet. Throughout the afternoon, we heard of some people that actually tried to make it over there and actually did make it back to NAS Pensacola, and they were able to make it there, but we couldn't actually verify that they actually were actually going there for real or that they actually made it on. So we were stuck at Corey Station. Around 1800, that's 6 p.m. for those who don't understand military time. We did a pretty nice sized convoy of vehicles, maybe about 30 vehicles or so, or a little more than that, maybe, for all of us who needed to get back to Naval Air Station Pensacola since we lived at that base. Once I got back to my base, once I got back to NAS Pensacola and got back to my barracks, I went to the front desk and they informed me that we were allowed to go back on and off base as long as we had our identification to get us on base, along with our documentation proving that we lived or resided or were staying at someplace aboard NAS Pensacola. So I had to show them documentation. I had to show, whenever I was going through, I showed my ID and I showed my documentation saying, hey, I live at this base. I have to come to this base. So that's what I did. And I went off base that night and treated that night like any Friday night and treated the weekend as a normal weekend. I went to the base. I went to the beach. I went to some bars, some clubs. And keep in mind, this was pre-COVID-19. This was pre-social distancing. So, yeah, I went and had some fun. In the aftermath, we learned that the shooter was Mohammed Saeed al-Shamrani. He was a second lieutenant in the Royal Saudi Air Force and he was the gunman. He was undergoing English basic aviation and initial pilot training through a program that was sponsored by the Pentagon as security cooperation agreement with Saudi Arabia. At about 6:51, the attack began, and he was armed with a Glock 9mm handgun and several extra magazines. He opened fire in one of the classroom buildings at NAS Pensacola and moved through 2 floors of the building and he was discharging his weapon on both. One of the victims made their way from the scene to alert the first response team of the location of the shooter and other details. Around 07:45, the suspect was shot by 2 deputies with the Escambia County Sheriff's Office. Members of the base security force had also exchanged gunfire with him. The outside of the building was being videotaped by another Saudi Arabian student while the shooting was occurring, and 2 additional Saudi Arabian students were watching the shooting from their car. The suspect was filming. The student that was filming the other two students, they had attended a dinner party with the shooter, with the perpetrator of the attack, the night prior, and they had been watching videos of U.S. mass shootings from the past. So, kind of creepy, kind of scary to think they were just watching videos at a party, that they were holding a party and watching watching videos of shootings. The shooter had obtained a hunting license from a place in Florida. And so he had obtained a hunting license, which allows non immigrants on a non immigrant visa to purchase a gun. He then legally purchased a weapon from a gun store earlier on that year. Some stuff that we found out afterwards about this attack is that at some point that year, the shooter was infuriated and filed an equal opportunity complaint over an instructor calling him porn stash. If you look at a picture of him, you can see he kind of looks like he has a porn stash. And that was about 7 months prior to the shooting, but it was considered a closed case. But from stuff that I've read online, it didn't leave him satisfied with the results of what happened with the equal opportunity complaint. And to those who don't understand, in the military, sometimes we have a bit of giving each other nicknames, giving each other creative and sometimes disrespectful nicknames as a way to toughen each other. During this attack, 3 sailors died. Caleb Watson, age 23, an ensign and recent graduate of the United States Naval Academy. Despite him being struck by gunfire, he scrambled outside to alert first responders of the shooter's location. He dreamt of being a Navy pilot, and he reported for flight training at Naval Air Station Pensacola in November 2019. So he had only been there for a short time and was trying to achieve his dream. He was an ensign. That's at the lowest officer rank, so he was a newbie. There was also Mohammed Sami Hatim. I'm pretty sure I'm mispronouncing his name. I'm sorry to his family if I'm saying your name wrong. I'm just trying. I think it's Hytham or something like that. He was age 19, and he was an airman that had finished Navy boot camp in September. And then there was Scott Walters, who was age 21. He was an airman apprentice and wanted to become a pilot. His birthday was going to be on the 16th, and he was supposed to graduate from a flight training program about 3 days later. He was going to buy himself an airman jacket for Christmas. And so he killed 3 Navy sailors that were new to the Navy. An ensign, he's a baby officer. He's an officer that is still in training. And the kids, they were new to the Navy as well. They were in their A school. And Mohammed Haitham, I think is his name. He was 19 years old. He had just finished Navy boot camp in September. Like, he was very fresh to the Navy. 8 other sailors were wounded. On December 8th, 2019, I saw the funeral procession for the sailors pass by while I was sitting in traffic. I had recorded them passing by on my phone to show family and friends later on. And I saw video later on that day of one of the families they took from the inside of their car of when the procession had entered the naval base. And members of about every rank in the Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, Army, Coast Guard, and maybe even Space Force lined up on both sides of the road, forming what appeared to be an endless line to pay tribute to those who had lost their lives. They were all wearing their dress uniforms, so they were looking nice. And they were paying tribute to those who lost their lives. I made sure that weekend that I honored them by continuing what I would have done that Friday evening or that weekend because I don't want to allow myself to live in fear. I don't allow a shooting, a terrorist attack, etc., to scare me and prevent me from carrying on with my life because that's not what we do in the military. When we suffer a loss or a tragedy, we carry on. We push through the pain and the tragedy and the sorrow. We push through and continue to fight because we have a mission to accomplish. And me personally, I was like, I'm not going to let this terrorist attack scare me and make me just be like, oh yeah, I'm just going to stay, I'm just going to drive from Quarry Station. I'm just going to drive to Quarry Station and back every day and just hang out in my room and be antisocial. Because I do not want to live like that. I feel living like that, it's a sad way to live in fear, to let something prevent you from doing what you want to do. I remember a time when I was in Maryland. There was a shooting at a mall that I was at. I heard the shooting. I wasn't anywhere near where it was, but I heard it. I ran to my car and I drove away from the scene before anyone could stop me or anything, before was stuck at the scene. And I made sure I got out of the area, went back to base. But the next day, I went back to the mall and carried on like normal. In the military, we get trained. We get trained how to respond and what to do if there's an active shooter scenario or an active shooter, or if there's an active shooter event happening. We get trained on what we should do, what our three options are. We're either to run, hide, or fight. And there's different things and different resources that we have. We get trained very well on what to do if this type of thing occurs. And I'm not going to let anything like that scare me or prevent me from going out and doing something that I want to do or from living my life. But that's what today's video is. I'm still in quarantine. It's been over a week in quarantine. Sometimes I miss it. Sometimes people do not bring me my meals, but hey, I've made it known and that's okay. And I am now going to carry on with my day. YouTube, thank you for listening. And please subscribe. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe to my channel. It would mean a lot. Thank you. Big Gocke out.